Ну, Канело.
Да.
Ты боковые, да, Канело? Я чувствую.
Молодцы.
Да.
Молодцы. Команда.
Братан, у нас такой эмоции от души.
Это просто показатель, что
Просто.
мы можем, да?
Да,
Да.
конечно.
Вышел, показал, да?
Все, бля, еще как красиво показал. Как сделаем.
It's personal between me and you, and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
Canelo Exposed by Bivol proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of Canelo Exposed by Bivol's subscribers. Now, I wanted to do a video about this because I made a video about this like 3 years ago when this happened. But, you know, let me just say this. Pernell Whitaker, God rest his soul, RIP to the great Sweet Pea, but Pernell Whitaker was right about Dmitry Bivol. He was absolutely right about Bivol. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, back in 2019 when Bivol was really starting to make his name here in the States before he fought Joe Smith Jr., Pernell Whitaker had actually went to go see Joe Smith Jr. fight against Bivol. And Pernell Whitaker was there because I think he was invited there by Main Events, who was promoting Bivol. And Pernell Whitaker was blown away by Bivol. He said in this ESPN article, and I'll leave the link in the description if you want to read it for yourself, but Pernell Whitaker said the following about Dmitry Bivol, and I quote, "I think he's an excellent defensive fighter. I think he has great skills. His defense is excellent. He's got a wicked left hook and a good right hand, and he can still learn. He's learning from every fight he gets. I was happy with what I saw. I'm blessed to be here and able to see it." He then goes on by saying, "Bivol can go to the top. I think he's the real deal. I love his defense. It's a beautiful feeling when you can hit a man and they can't hit you back, and I know a lot about that. Main Events brought me up here to see him because they said this kid loved Pernell Whitaker, so I wanted to come see what he was all about. I got a chance to meet him, and I see a whole lot of myself in this fighter." So those were big words back then from Pernell Whitaker, and they kind of flew under the radar. A lot of people didn't really like make videos about it or talk about it, but fast forward 3 years and some change later, and Sweet Pea ultimately winds up being proven right. Dmitry Bivol, as a 4-1 underdog, doesn't just beat Canelo, but dominates him in a way that probably no fighters in boxing right now, maybe except, you know, a couple guys, 1 or 2 guys, or maybe 1 guy. But so far, over the last couple years since he beat Floyd, nobody's really been able to dominate Canelo like that. And it was a massive statement for Bivol. And look, I think, you know, when we look at Bivol, he's been champion for a long time, and he's beat some good fighters in his title run. He's beat Joe Smith, who was a champion now. He beat Canelo, who many deemed as the pound #1 fighter in boxing. You know, he beat Craig Richards, who was a difficult opponent for the size he had and the awkwardness that he brings to the table. And much more. Beat Sullivan Barrera early in his career. Beat Jean Pascal. I mean, the list goes on and on. The guy has a great resume. Bivol. And I'm gonna give a shout out to my boy Boxing Gems, because he's really one of the only other boxing fans that I've heard say this about him. Bivol's feint game, the way he's able to feint, the different kind of feints that he has, it really is probably, I think now that we've seen him fight a guy like Canelo, who has a lot of patience and is very good at dissecting fighters, seeing how much the feints and the probing with the jab and the punch selection rendered Canelo ineffective, you got to really tip your cap to the guy. I mean, I feel like at this point, every fan in boxing, whether you like Canelo or don't like Canelo, like me, everyone in boxing should be tipping their cap, giving their praises, and really just say about Bivol that he's that guy. Like, he's that guy, because, you know, he really went out there and put on a show. I mean, even in the first Golovkin fight, like in the first Golovkin fight, Canelo obviously was breathing hard, and Golovkin really had a lot of success with the jab and pushing them back, but he didn't quite have Canelo frustrated like this. You know, Bivol had everything Golovkin had, plus more athleticism, plus better combinations, plus more versatile combinations, plus a right hand, plus a left hook, plus uppercut, plus more patience. So he was basically, I don't even want to say he was Golovkin on steroids. Bivol was on a whole nother stratosphere to the Golovkin, respectfully to the great champion Golovkin. But it's just great to see when a fighter like Bivol, you know, I've always said, like, when you fight Canelo, you're not just fighting a guy who's an A-level fighter himself, but you're fighting a guy in Canelo who has the machine behind him. He has the boxing media behind him. He's got the the promoter behind him. He's got everything that you can possibly think of when it comes to the political side of boxing. Canelo has always had that in his favor. So he had to come out here and not just beat Canelo, but he had to really come out here and really beat him, because I mean, look how we know many years ago when Floyd Mayweather schooled Canelo, we know that one judge actually scored at a 114 draw, and it almost happened again. Bivol was one more round from having it happen again, and it would have been a draw all the way through. At least Floyd had two judges that were on his side, but they all scored at 115, 113 identical. But if they all give Bivol, or if they all give Canelo the 12th round, this might be becoming a draw. And we're sitting here talking about controversy. So even in a great moment, like, Bivol really should have had a wider scorecard, because this shit was not close. I mean, at the most, the best you can do for Canelo is 3 rounds. I only gave him 2, but the best you could do is 3, because a lot of these punches that he was landing were on the gloves, on the shoulders, you know, things like that. Not really clean and effective punching, which he's known for. There was not many punches as far as being clean and effective that the Canelo landed. Couldn't really find a home for the left hook, which really took him out of his rhythm early. Couldn't defend the right hand when Bivol decided to throw it after the jab. So all these years, God bless Pernell Whitaker, all these years later, Pernell Whitaker is vindicated. A lot of people at that time that did see that article were saying that Pernell Whitaker didn't know what he was talking about, but he proved himself to be absolutely right, that he knew everything he was talking about, because he mentioned the great defense of a Bivol. Bivol, as far as like Boxing Gems would say, shout out to him, subscribe to his channel. When we talk about the plus minus in boxing, you know, how many punches can you land as opposed to you getting hit? Bivol had one of the highest plus minuses in boxing, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, well, you know, he hasn't done that against a guy like Canelo and things like that." Okay, he hasn't, but what he has done, and this is what I always talk about, no matter who you guys think a fighter has or hasn't fought, if you think a guy has a good resume or a bad resume, you know, if you get a belt and you defend that shit constantly, and don't have big letdowns in your performances, then that shows something about you. That's a testament to your consistency and how good you are on a fight-by-fight basis. And Bivol showed and proved that a lot. A lot of people wanted to criticize his punching power. They said, "Oh, well, Bivol don't got no punching power." Bivol has the same knockout ratio as Devin the Dream Haney, because it's very similar. It's in the 50 percentile. But I've always said Bivol has mastered the art of boxing so much so to the point that he doesn't need to go for a knockout. He's so good at boxing, he doesn't need to go for the knockout. Why make the other guy's life easier? When he fights an opponent that's good enough to bring it out of him, it'll happen for him. You know, Joe Smith Jr. wasn't that guy. You know, Pascal wasn't that guy. Neither was Craig Richards or Umar Salamov. And neither was Canelo. Canelo was one of his easiest fights, to be honest with you, because if you want to be honest, and this is going to sound like I'm hating, but if you interpret it that way, go ahead and do it. But this is true. Go watch the fight if you disagree. Craig Richards did better against Bivol than Canelo did. That's a fact, all right? And if you disagree with me, go watch the Craig Richards Bivol fight and tell me I'm wrong, you know? So I'm just happy, man. I'm happy that Bivol went out there, and despite all the critics, despite all the hate and disrespect that was being thrown his way, he went out there and performed and did his thing, and Pernell Whitaker was proven true. So yeah, man. I wanted to say that. I wanted to really say that, because you know, most people don't know that Pernell Whitaker was very high on Bivol before he passed away, and at the time he was making a lot of claims about Bivol. People weren't really believing him. But now I'll ask the question to you guys: Do you believe now? Do you believe now in Pernell Whitaker what he said about Bivol? Because you should. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure you take the time to subscribe to Canelo Exposed by Bivol. You know, and like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on True School Sports, the home of boxing. If you made it this far, do me a favor and do yourself a damn favor. Hit that subscribe button and surely you will not be disappointed. You know, True School Sports bringing you the latest and greatest, the untouchable, you know, boxing content, interviews, news videos, breakdowns, live fight reaction extravaganza. We've got a great community of people here, boxing fans all over the world, from America to the UK to Australia, and on and on and on. So join the empire today. Hit that subscribe button. Take care and God.